How you doing today? We're going to talk about placarding hazardous materials. This is DOT chart number 15. It's a great tool to help you succeed when you're hauling hazmat. These are the different classes. Class 1 is explosives. Class 2 is gases. Class 3 is flammable liquids. Class 4 is flammable solids, spontaneously combustible and dangerous when wet. Class 5 is oxidizers and organic peroxides. Class 6 is poison, toxic, poison inhalation, and infectious substances. Class 7 is radioactive. Class 8 is corrosive. Class 9 is miscellaneous. Now, going deeper into it, Class 1, explosives, you have multiple different types of explosives. They all have their own placard. Class 2, you have oxygen, non-flammable, inhalation, flammable. Class 3, you got gasoline, flammable, fuel oil, combustible. Class 4, flammable solids, spontaneously combustible and dangerous when wet. 5, you got oxidizers, organic peroxides, and then organic peroxide. Class B. Class 6, you have poison. Packing group 3 is also poison. And then you have an inhalation hazard. Class 7 is radioactive. Class 8 is corrosive. Class 9 is miscellaneous. And then you have a dangerous placard. These are all the different types of placards. General guidelines on the use of placards. The main thing that I want you to look at here is over on the right side. I want you to see identification numbers and displays. That is how you placard a bulk package with a UN number. You see the flammable class 3 with a 1090, and then you see a combustible class 3 with a 1993 in it. That is a bulk placard. If you take the number away and you just have a flammable placard with no number, that is a non-bulk placard. Now we're going to get into the table 1 and table 2 here in just a little bit, so we're going to skip over that. Actually, we can talk about it right here. So table 1 placards, no matter what the amount, 1 pound, require a placard. So you have 1.1 explosive, 1.2, and 1.3. All require a placard. 2.3 is poison gas or inhalation gas. Requires a placard. 4.3 is dangerous when wet. It requires a placard. 5.2, it has to be the organic peroxide that's type B. It's temperature controlled. It will probably be in a reefer. It has to be in a reefer. 6.1, inhalation. It's very important because you can have 6.1 and it be non-inhalation. When you're reading the 6.1 on the manifest, if it is 6.1 inhalation, it will say poison by inhalation on it. Read your entire manifest. Class 7 radioactive. All the ones in table 1, it doesn't matter if it's 1 pound or 1,000,000 pounds. They have to be placarded. Non-bulk. I'm going to show you what the difference is between bulk and non-bulk here in a little bit. Table 2 is everything else. So 1.4, 1.5, 1.6 explosives, 2.1, 2.2, 3 combustible liquid, 4.1, 4.2, 5.1. All 5.2s other than that type B that's controlled, temperature controlled. 6.1 that's not inhalation. 6.2 which is medical waste. 8 class 9. Okay, all these are table 2. Here is how you see inhalation hazard. So you see it says 6.1 and it says toxic inhalation hazard. If it did not say toxic inhalation hazard, then it is not table 1. It would be table 2, 6.1. But since it says toxic inhalation hazard, it's automatically going to get a 6.1 with a black skull. The white skull is non-inhalation. The black skull is an inhalation hazard. It's very important. That's a $50,000 fine. Now, before we get into some manifesting, I'm going to show you some more info on placarding. Hazardous materials placarding requirements. Why do we placard? to communicate the hazard for response mitigation in case of a spill, and it's a regulatory requirement, not just domestically but internationally. Each person who offers transport of hazardous materials must comply with the placarding requirements. You see all these placards here on the front of the screen. Those are all non-bulk placards. They have no numbers on the inside of them, so no UN numbers listed. Those are just non-bulk placards. Placarding requirements. Placarding requirements do not apply to small quantities of certain hazard classes, limited quantities, infectious substances, other regulated materials, combustible liquids, and non-bulk packages, and materials prepared in accordance with 173.13. Prohibited placarding. Placards may not be displayed on a transport vehicle, portable tank, or freight container unless they are transported material is a hazardous material. The placarding represents a hazard of the material, and the placarding conforms to the regulation. So in other words, you can't just stick a placard up and not have that on the vehicle. You can't put up an explosive placard and not have something explosive in there. General placarding requirements. Placard a container or vehicle on each side and each end for any quantity of hazardous material. Some exceptions exist based on the hazard and quantity presented. We're going to get into that and how you tell if you have to placard or not here in just a bit. These are the ID numbers or UN numbers. They're placed on the placard. I've personally very rarely seen them not on the actual placard. 99% of the time, their UN number is going to be on the placard as seen in that Class 6 non-inhalation 2019 there on the right. When ID numbers must be used. Now, the way that they presented this in this slide, this is the U.S. Department of Transportation, is super confusing. So I'm going to make it real easy for you. If you have any one single commodity loaded at a facility that's over 8,882 pounds, it is considered a bulk package. Right? Now it talks about small quantities and limited quantities and combustibles. We're going to get more into that here in just a bit. If you have to placard your vehicle, the placard should be on all four sides. What it's talking about, the four sides and the two sides down at the bottom, is it's talking about when the material is in the vehicle, you have to also put labels on it for four sides or two sides if it's greater than 1,000 or less than 1,000 for that one item. So remember, a bulk package, this is just one example, a bulk package is any one commodity over 8,882 pounds loaded at one facility containing no other materials. So if you have a manifest and you have one item or one line that's over 8,882, it's bulk. You have to use the UN number. This is a terrible example of non-bulks because the only non-bulk placard up here is that flammable one on the bottom right. Okay, the other two, the 3267 and the 1848, are bulk placards. Here's some bulk examples, which these are all bulk containers, and they all have bulk placards. Now, the one on the top left I don't like because it's a non-bulk placard with a UN next to it. I prefer the ones with the UN number inside of them, which you see on the bottom, on the yellow tank, and the white tank. Now, this is talking about the labels that are required on the placard, on the actual item. And then if they're going inside of a dry van, they also require a placard on the outside of the dry van. This is talking about the tables again. We already discussed that. This is talking about table 1. You placard any quantity of table 1 no matter what. Table 2, there's a whole lot of different rules, and we're going to get into that. So table 2, you have to placard it if it's over 1,000 pounds of any of those classes. So if you have class 3 and you have 1,001 pounds, guess what? You have to placard a class 3 for table 2. If you have 1,000 pounds of 6.1 non-inhalation, you have to placard 6.1 non-inhalation. And yes, you have to go through all your manifests and add all these up. You can have 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6, I've even seen 20 different items that are all class 3, and they could all be 50, 75, 100 pounds, whatever the weights are. If you add them all up and they're over 1,000, you have to placard class 3. And you have to do this for each and every item on every manifest. Now, the use of the dangerous placard. The dangerous placard may be used if the shipment contains non-bulk packages of 2 or more classes requiring different placards from Table 2, only Table 2. So it may be used only if there's 2 or more hazardous materials, only on Table 2, they're non-bulk packages, and they add all of them together to put them under dangerous, they all have to be under 2,205 pounds. Now the kicker is if that one class goes over 1,000 pounds, you can't use dangerous anymore. You have to use the placard. So let's say you have 1,001 pounds of flammable class 3. You have to use flammable. Now let's say you have 999 pounds of flammable, and then you have 800 pounds of corrosive. You can put flammable and corrosive under dangerous. And you can only do this if it's under 2,205 pounds for the total gross of both of those classes, and it's under 1,000 pounds for the flammable and under 1,000 pounds for the corrosive. It has to be Table 2 items. It cannot be bulk packages. You must placard if it's over 2,205 pounds or more from Table 2. You must placard if it's loaded at multiple different facilities, and you cannot use the dangerous placard in these situations. You cannot use the dangerous placard for any Table 1 items. They must be placarded on their own. The most common Table 1s that I see on the road is the 4.3 dangerous when wet and the 6.1 inhalation hazard. We also see explosives a lot, but it depends on who your carrier is. Some carriers aren't allowed to haul explosives. Secondary placards or subsidiary placards. If you read, and I've seen this numerous times, so I had a Class 8 corrosive, and it explicitly was Class 8 corrosive, but the secondary was 6.1, and right underneath it, it said inhalation hazard. Even though it's a secondary hazard, it must be placarded because it's Table 1. And this goes for poison inhalation, Class 7 uranium hexafluoride, and 4.3 dangerous when wet. Even if it's a secondary hazard, you have to placard the Table 1 items. Secondary placards, even if they're not Table 1, they can be placarded if you choose to. You can start to put up a lot of placards if you start placarding every little thing, though. It's not necessary to placard every secondary hazard. Primary and subsidiary or secondary placards must display their appropriate class and division number. What it's meaning is corrosive Class 8, non-inhalation Class 6. See the white skull? Class 6. You have to have the Class 6 and the Class 8 is what it's saying. Prohibited placarding. No person may display a placard on transport unit unless the commodity is a hazardous material. This is again saying if you put a placard up, you better have that item on your vehicle. You can't just fly a placard and not have anything in there that's pertaining to that placard. Placards represent the hazard that's on board your vehicle. The following exceptions pertain to U.S. federal regulations. Some may not be suitable for international commerce. It's not required to placard in limited quantity items, so very small items. Obviously, we've already explained if it's less than 1,000 pounds of one item, you don't have to placard it. Exceptions for explosives. Now, this is talking about the 1.1 explosives and then the 1.5. If you have different types of each one, you're always going to use the one that's more severe, which is 1.1 is the most severe. So if you have a 1.1 and a 1.5 on your manifest, then you're going to always placard 1.1, and that will automatically cover the 1.5. Class 1 materials shipped by vessels must have the compatibility group letter displayed. No required label means no required placard. So cartridges for small arms don't necessarily require a placard. Division 6.2 is medical waste. It's not required to placard. Limited quantity items, small accepted quantities. ORMD, combustible liquids and non-bulk packaging. You do not have to placard any of these. Placards that are not required when domestically. Domestically meaning in the United States. Non-bulk packages containing residue of a Table 2 commodity. Internationally, packages containing residue shall be treated the same as when they're full unless steps have been taken to nullify the hazard. Bulk packages must remain placarded. This is talking like a tanker. If a tanker has residual in it, it must remain placarded. Exceptions. Combustible liquids. A flammable placard may be used in place of a combustible placard on cargo tanks, portable tanks, and tanks only. So, if you have a tanker and the liquid inside is combustible, but you don't have a combustible placard, you may use a flammable Class 3 placard. If you're hauling oxygen, then the placard must say oxygen on it. Class 9. Bulk shipments in Class 9 are not required not bulk. Class 9 shipments are not required to be placarded when they're shipping domestically in the United States. However, if they are bulk shipments, they must be placarded with the UN number. 6.1 may be modified to use packing group 3, 6.1. Again, this is the white skull and crossbones, meaning non-inhalation. The majority of these exceptions are for domestic transport only. International regulations may require placards or may not allow certain modifications, such as the Class 9 going into Canada must be placarded. Display of placards. This drives me insane. Everybody see the flammable. And you can see that it's secured with duct tape, which is actually covering the majority of the placard. So this is according to the Department of Transportation. They must be securely attached on each side and each end. They must be located clear of devices such as ladders, pipes, and doors. In other words, they have to be completely visible. They must be away from markings, which could reduce the effectiveness, which means they can't be near labels that are the same color. They can't be over top of other labels. They have to be clear and clean and visible. They cannot be duct taped. You're protruding the placard. You're affecting its effectiveness by covering it up with duct tape. They must be displayed horizontally, reading from left to right. You see the corrosive placard that's upside down. Placards must be able to withstand 30 days of exposure to the elements. They must be designed IAW 49 CFR 172.519. They must measure at least 250 millimeters by 250 millimeters. Regulations allow use of international placards and may be used in most situations. Domestically, bulk packages containing inhalation hazards, domestic placards must be used. Placarding empty or unpurged tanks. We talked about this a bit. Tanks that remain placarded. Tanks must remain placarded until they are cleaned and purged, until they're reloaded with a non-hazardous material, or another class of hazardous materials put in them. So you have to keep the placards on your tank if there's residual in them. Visibility. Each placard must be readily visible from the direction it faces. Placards must be on each side and each end, so 4 placards. If coupled to another motor vehicle, so the tractor is in front of the trailer, visibility is not required from the direction that it faces. So in other words, you can have a placard on the front of a dry van trailer, the tractor be in front of it, and it's perfectly legal. Attaching placards, they must be attached securely, maintaining good condition, clear of advertising, dirt, water, and tarps. They cannot have stuff over top of them or messing up the view of them. They're to display a hazard. They have to be printed and displayed horizontally. Placarding is a joint responsibility. It is the responsibility of the shipper or carrier to make sure the correct placards are offered or affixed. Since placarding is complex and crucial, do not rely solely on the information in this presentation. Now, here's some examples of placarding that I got for you. Now we're going to go through this together, and if you want to get a pen and a paper, you can write this stuff down. So this is some manifests, and the ones at the bottom I kind of typed out so I could show you guys some other examples. But this top two are actual manifests. We got UN 1778 Class 8. Okay, you see the 8? It's the UN number, the waist, the class, and the packing group. It's 2 drums fiber, so likely plastic drums, 100 gallons. How would that need to be placarded? So, the first one up top, Class 8, 1,000. And the reason why we got the 1,000 is because every gallon is approximately 10 pounds in chemical weight. So 100 gallons is 1,000 pounds. So corrosive Class 8 is required because we have 1,000 pounds of Class 8 on the top, and then the very second one puts us over the 1,000 pound limit because it's Class 8 and it's 200 more pounds. So now we are required to put up a Class 8 corrosive placard. Going back, the number 3 spot is non-DOT, so we know that it does not require a placard. Going down the next one, 1391 4.3. And if you look at the one right below it, it's also, it looks like 1291, or it might be 1391 4.3 again. Now, we don't have to add up 4.3 because it doesn't matter how much it weighs. Table 1, dangerous when wet, is automatically placarded. Does not matter what the weight is. It could be 5,000 pounds. It doesn't matter. So now we need a Class 8 and a 4.3 placard automatically. The next one down is UN 1098 6.1 secondary Class 3 toxic inhalation. 1 pound. It's in a drum fiber. One drum fiber that weighs 1 pound. 6.1 inhalation, table 1. It does not matter if it only weighs 1 pound. It has to be placarded. So now we need a Class 8, a 4.3, and a 6.1. The next one down is 3077, but it's Class 9. It's 30 drums metal weighing 9,750 pounds. It must be bulk placarded because it's more than 8,882 pounds of any one material. So now we require a Class 9 bulk with a 3077 in the middle of it. The UN number has to be on the placard because that's a bulk package. The next one down, UN 1263, Class 3. 1 tote or portable tank is what that stands for. That's 5 gallons. So probably 50 pounds. So it just has some residual in the bottom of it. Here's the kicker though. It's in a portable tank or a tote. It must be bulk placarded even though it's only 5 gallons. It's in a container, which is a tank or a portable tote, and that container can hold more than 119 gallons. So 1263 Class 3 is a required placard. We must put up a bulk 1263 Class 3 flammable placard. And then lastly, we have 1263 again, Class 3. And this one is going to be 9 drums metal at 900 pounds. Now, Class 3 placard is not required because it's less than 1,000 pounds of Class 3 in a non-bulk package. If you have another 100 pounds of Class 3 items, it would require placarding. Now here's the kicker. We did have another 50 pounds approximately of Class 3, but that's still only 950 pounds. So you don't necessarily require a Class 3 placard. But can you put up a Class 3 placard along with that other Class 3 bulk? You can. But to be honest with you, that bulk placard covers both of them because They both have the same UN number, UN 1263 Class 3. It covers both of them. You're displaying the hazard that's on board. If you guys have any questions, post them down in the comments. I'd like to thank you for watching. Have a great day.